Welcome back to the field, my favorite middle school science class. Grab those field journals and definitely pack your warmest gear, because today's explainer isn't just a regular lesson. We are going on a time-traveling expedition. I'm your lead paleontologist for this trip, and we're tracing an absolutely epic survival story. We're going to witness exactly how tiny, rat-sized mammals survived the most devastating apocalypse our planet has ever seen, and how their descendants eventually evolved into the towering, furry giants of the Ice Age. It's an incredible story of adaptation, and I am so pumped to show you around.
Here is our expedition itinerary for today. We'll be covering 1. Outlasting the dinosaurs. 2. The evolution of mammalian size. 3. An Ice Age field safari. 4. Adapting to extreme cold. 5. Sizing up prehistoric beasts. And finally, number 6, a base camp quiz and homework.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Outlasting the Dinosaurs.
Okay, team, suit up. We are stepping out into the Hell Creek Formation, 66 million years ago. Take a deep breath. You can almost smell the smoke and the ash in the air, right? An asteroid has just slammed into the Earth, and the massive dinosaurs that ruled these steamy, subtropical lowlands are vanishing. But if you look closely at the ground right beneath your boots, life is actually holding on. And it's doing it using a biological superpower called torpor. See, when the asteroid caused global wildfires in a freezing post-impact winter, our tiny mammalian ancestors didn't try to outrun it. They hid out in underground burrows and drastically dropped their body temperatures. Basically, they hit the pause button on their metabolism, allowing them to survive for months without food, while the highly specialized dinosaurs on the scorched surface just couldn't make it.
Beyond just sleeping through the apocalypse, they had another major secret weapon: their stomachs. Large dinosaurs had highly specialized diets, meaning they relied on very specific plants or large prey. But our surviving mammals? Total generalists. They were omnivores, willing to eat absolutely anything. Insects, scraps, whatever they could scavenge and all that chaos. Because they were so small, they didn't need to hoard massive food caches either. So it turns out, being small, sleepy, and not a picky eater was literally the ultimate recipe for surviving the end of the world.
Moving on to Section 2, Evolution of Mammalian Size.
As the dust finally settles and the Earth begins to heal, we enter the Paleocene epoch. With the massive dinosaurs out of the picture, those tiny, rat-sized mammals that used to scurry in the shadows, well, they confidently stepped right into the light. They rapidly evolved to fill all those suddenly empty ecological niches. Some of them, called pantodonts, actually grew to the size of a modern cow. And interestingly enough, fossil scans show they bulked up their body size way before their brains got any bigger. They just needed sheer size to quickly conquer this new territory.
So let's trace this timeline. We started at the 66 million year mark with the asteroid impact. By 65 million years ago, we see this incredible size boom. But the story doesn't stop there. As environmental pressures kept shifting, these animals kept adapting. The Earth's climate was about to change drastically once again, setting the stage for the true giants. Let's move to our next stop and see what happens when the planet freezes over.
Section 3, Ice Age Field Safari.
All right, class, pull those parkas tight and keep your voices down to a whisper. We've officially arrived in the Pleistocene epoch. The wind is howling out here. We are officially on an Ice Age field safari. Now, to understand the animals here, we really have to understand their environment. This wasn't just one quick freeze. It was a series of massive systemic changes. Since a quarter of the Earth's landmass was suddenly covered in ice, sea levels dropped drastically. And you know what that did? It exposed huge land bridges. It connected continents like North and South America, creating this massive animal superhighway. Animals were migrating, crossing paths, and facing completely new rivals in a landscape of ice and vast arid deserts.
Look through the frost over there. Careful, don't spook them. Those are the apex predators of this brutal landscape. See that rustling fur? That belongs to the Smilodon, the legendary saber-toothed cat. It's armed with terrifyingly long canine teeth, specifically designed for deadly precision strikes on massive prey. And trailing right behind them, operating with insane coordination across these frozen plains, is a pack of direwolves. These predators had to be incredibly powerful to hunt the massive game of this era.
And to see what they're hunting, you're going to need to point your binoculars up, way up. Look at the absolute sheer size of the Arctotherium ongistodens. That is a bear towering at 14 feet tall. It is literally the biggest bear to ever live. And right over there, lumbering through the brush, is a herd of Diprotodon.
They kind of look like rhinos, but they're actually colossal relatives of modern wombats. Documenting these rare behaviors in the field just reminds you how breathtaking the scale of these creatures really was.
Which brings us to Section 4, Adapting to Extreme Cold.
So how in the world did they survive such brutal freezing conditions? Well, it wasn't just about being tough. It was about highly specific biological adaptations. Ancient beasts like our 14-foot giant bear needed a massive body for a very specific reason. Lots of body mass helps you retain heat when it's freezing outside. They grew super thick coats of fur to block that howling wind. And just like their asteroid-surviving ancestors, they couldn't afford to be picky eaters. They scavenged frozen meat and used massive claws to dig up tough tubers right out of the frozen ground. Compare that to their modern relatives today, who generally have much smaller bodies, highly specialized diets, and live in much milder, warmer habitats.
Section 5. Sizing up prehistoric beasts. It is honestly kind of hard to grasp the true scale of these animals without seeing the numbers. Take the ancient stegodon. It was an elephant relative, but get this, it was a dwarf. It stood only 3 feet tall. A baby stegodon could literally be hunted by giant storks. Now compare that to a modern elephant at around 10 feet tall. And then towering way over both of them is our giant Ice Age bear at 14 feet. Evolution under these extreme pressures just completely flipped our modern expectations upside down.
And they were spread out all over the map. Because of those dropping sea levels and the new land bridges we talked about, unique creatures were everywhere. The warm-weather Columbian mammoth roamed North America, the giant diprotodon marched all the way across Australia, and predators like the smilodon used those exact land bridges to migrate and conquer the Americas. The entire planet was this massive, shifting chessboard of giant mammals.
All right, Section 6, Base Camp Quiz and Homework. Whew, what an incredible expedition. Welcome back to Base Camp, team. You can go ahead and take off your parkas now, but don't pack up yet, because as any good field researcher knows, we have to log our findings. It's time for a quick quiz to see who was paying attention right at the start of our tour. Think all the way back to 66 million years ago. The sky is dark, the earth is scorched. What specific physiological superpower did our tiny rat-sized ancestors use to survive underground without food? Shout it out if you know it.
Yes, excellent job. It was torpor. They dramatically lowered their body temperatures to just sleep through the worst of it down in their underground burrows. And, crucially, they had a generalist diet, meaning they absolutely were not picky eaters when they finally woke up hungry.
All right, and that brings us to your homework assignment for tonight. I want you to grab those field journals and write down one unique physical adaptation that helped a specific animal survive the extreme cold of the Ice Age. Think deeply about what we observed today on safari. Was it the massive body size used to retain heat, the super thick fur, or maybe the specialized teeth like the saber tooth used for hunting big prey? Pick one trait and explain to me exactly why it worked.
As we pack up our gear, I want to leave you with this really powerful thought from Jon Favreau, one of the filmmakers who helped bring these creatures to life. He said, "The species that were most able to adapt still survive to this day, and there are many that didn't. It's still a blink of an eye in the history of our planet." It's a great reminder that survival isn't just about being the strongest or the biggest. It is completely about being the most adaptable to a changing world. Which leads me to this final, thought-provoking question for you. If another dramatic climate shift happens tomorrow, which of the animals living right outside your window right now possesses the secret traits to become the giant megafauna of the future? Thank you so much for joining me on today's Explainer Expedition. Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and I'll see you out in the field next time.